Hi, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. I heard there is nasty weather heading. Well, it depends on your opinion how nasty it is. I kind of like an exciting storm, but could be nasty. Weather heading for much of the United States coming up, and it's to be expected. It's winter time after all. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about driving in conditions like snow and ice. Two pretty dangerous conditions to drive in. I actually think possibly, I don't know if worse, but equally dangerous is fog. And sometimes, or heavy blinding snow. And sometimes you'll get those things all at once. And maybe we'll do a separate video on that sometime, but most of these tips cross over to all those things. So I'm not a driving expert. This is an ASMR channel. It's just kind of meant to distract your mind and give you something to think about and relax to. But I have driven in a lot of snow. I grew up in Michigan, and I've lived in, with the exception of Arizona, for 7 years. I've pretty much lived in snowy climates. So I have some experience. I'm not like a person who ever carried chains in my car. That's not what I'm getting into. I'm doing more suburban driving, I guess. So let's talk about it. So I would say the number one thing you want to do, you check the weather. If you see the morning before you have to be at work or wherever you're going, it's going to be icy conditions or heavy snow where maybe the plows and salt trucks won't be able to keep up with it. If you can, just stay home. I know that's lame to say, but really the safest thing you can do, if you can, is to stay home. Like, if you're going somewhere for enjoyment, you should cancel it probably. There's a thing they say called get there-itis, where it's like you had a plan to go do something, and so your need to do that plan overrides your concerns with safety, and you really got to think like, is this worth it? Sorry for this is a distraction right here. An aside. There is a Christmas album by Garth Brooks that I had in the 1990s. I can't remember the name of it, but it was actually a good Christmas album. And at the beginning of one of the songs, he is with his then wife Sandy, and they're trying to get, I think, to her mother's house. And he talks about driving through the snow and the ice to get there and how dangerous it was. And he looks at his wife, or she looks at him, I forget, and says, "You're going to see your mama for Christmas." And then they keep driving and they get there and it's wonderful. But the truth is they had a case of get there-itis. And they probably should have stayed home and waited till the day after Christmas. Anyway, that's number one. Now, if you're like, no, I have to go to work or I have to do whatever because it's important. Okay, the first thing I'd say is get an early start. And this is actually important because people don't take account of how long it takes, really, if the weather is really bad. The first thing you're going to have to do is clear off your car. And people never want to give themselves enough time to clear their car off. And what you really want to do is clear every window, not just a little hole in your front window and a little hole in your back window. You want to make sure you've cleared all the windows and then get a broom and clear the top and the hood. And in some states, they have laws about this, and you can actually be fined if you have snow on your hood or the top of your car, or even worse and more dangerous, if it slides off and ends up hitting the car behind you. Sometimes that snow can have a layer of ice on top, and it can be really dangerous. So clear it all off. Oh, another tip, if it's heavy, deep snow, and maybe you have a remote start, or you just want to get in and warm your car up. And now I'm hearing some reports that maybe you don't need to do that, but let's say you're doing it. I admit I still do. But you want to check where your exhaust pipe is and make sure the snow isn't so high that it's blocking the exhaust pipe. And if it is, clear that out of the way so your car can exhaust properly. Otherwise, you can end up with carbon monoxide in your car, I believe. So yeah, I can't think of anything else. So clear your entire car. Okay, now let's get another. Hold on, let me get my bag of cars. I'll try to do it kind of quietly. What do we want to use today, guys? The Batmobile again? He got his battery jump started last time. Or maybe this, which reminds me of like a mobster's car or something. I guess it's a British cab, maybe? Are they black? I don't know. Because it does say Dinky, made in England. I don't know. Anyway, all right, we'll use those ones. Well, I will say something. So this little Grand Prix, I think that is a race car. I don't know. They have super slick wheels because that helps them with speed. But if your wheels look like this and don't have very good tread on it, that's going to make driving in ice and snow much, much worse. So before snow season, if you live a place with a lot of snow, you might want to get your wheels checked. It used to be, and maybe some people still do this, I don't know, that I remember in Michigan, people would have their regular tires and then their snow tires, and they'd switch them out in like November and drive snow tires. Now they have these all-season tires. I think they're all weathered. I forget. But they're kind of made more for, you know, if you don't have really bad conditions. But definitely check and make sure you don't have bald tires, because that, you'll slip on rain, water. I mean, it's dangerous. All right, let me move this out of the way. I'll try to be quiet. Okay. All right, so let's move our board. I don't know if I really need 3 cars. Yeah, maybe I will. So one thing I'll say is, let me think where to start this. So let's pretend like this car has all-wheel drive, which I think is a great thing. 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. I have it in my Highlander, and it's a godsend where I live. But here's the thing with that. If you are on a road that's a little bit of an incline and you're on snow or ice, all-wheel drive is definitely going to help you accelerate and get up an incline like that. Much better than rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. But if you're driving down the road and you need to stop, that will serve, your all-wheel drive does not help you with stopping at all. It doesn't make a difference. So make sure when you're driving, well, let me go back a little bit. The very first thing to do when you're driving in ice is drive super slow, like half of what you normally drive. Just take your time, leave way more space. Like I think they say to leave 6 or 7 seconds. So if you're going, the way you time that, let's say this is your street light. Let's stand up. Stay. So this Batmobile has gone past the street light, and then you count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6. So you want to be like 6 Mississippis behind this guy. They may even say 9 Mississippis. Do people internationally count Mississippis for seconds? I don't know. Anyway, but what I'm telling you is leave as much space. It doesn't matter. If you're going the same speed, it doesn't matter if you're here or if you're here. You're not going to get there quicker. You know what I'm saying? Leave as much space as possible. And the reason is, in snow and ice, stopping is going to be your worst enemy. You can start hitting your brakes and you'll just keep sliding and keep sliding. And that is when those accidents happen. Oh my gosh. You can go on YouTube and look up like ice, I forget what pile-ups. I think they're called like ice pile-ups on the highway. And they're just cars sliding into each other one after another. It's actually kind of terrifying. But anyway, leave plenty of room. And now you're going very slow. Remember that your all-wheel drive will help with acceleration. It will help with going up hills. But it's not going to help with stopping or turning. It does nothing for that. So people of all-wheel drive, I love you all because I'm one of you, but sometimes think we have an advantage. And you do to a point, but you don't as far as stopping or turning. So just slow down, just slow down. That's really the number one takeaway is slow down. Avoid sudden stops, avoid sudden turns. If you need to turn, slow down even more and then take it super slowly. And you're still probably going to go like this. Okay, so we've said that. Oh, one other thing. When you're going really slow, you may have this guy behind you who thinks he can go fast. And he might try to ride on you like this and put a lot of pressure on you. And to this guy, I would say, imagine that your grandma's in this car and her vision's a little bit older and she's scared. And give her some space. Just don't put your headlights in her face. You're just scaring her. But also, if you're in this car, my word of advice is you have to ignore this guy. There's nothing you can do about him. Ignore him. If you have a rear view mirror, you might be able to flip it. You go like that and flip it up, and then you won't see his headlights shining in and reflecting in your rear view. So just flip it, and you won't see him as much. If you have an opportunity to safely pull off a little bit on the shoulder and let him pass you up. And the fun part about that is, if he gets ahead of you, and this happened to me in Michigan, last time I was there, we were at the hospital, so we couldn't leave. We were with my father-in-law, and there was a really bad snowstorm. I mean, so bad that we went to clean the windows off the car, and by the time you clean this side would be covered again. It was really bad. And there were dudes like this who were driving. There was a guy in a Mustang, I'm sure it was rear wheel drive, and he was insisting. So pulled over, let him go, and it wasn't an eighth of a mile later, I see him on the side of the road. And I won't say I felt happy about that, because that would be wrong. Okay, so now you're driving along. You're going as slow as you can, taking it easy. By the way, make sure you breathe. If you're a nervous person, try to concentrate on staying calm and breathing, because sometimes people hold their breath when they get nervous. Just try to take some breaths and know you're going nice and slowly and you're being careful. Now, sometimes what will happen is your car will start to do this anyway. And what it a lot of times does, it'll sort of just go like that. Now, assuming, hold on, let me get a piece of, here, I'll flip this. I can do this. Okay. You're on this road right here, okay? Oh, shoot. I'm not good at straight lines. All right. You're driving down the road like this, and your car starts to do this. You want to turn the direction of the rear of your car. But for me, that's confusing to think about. And what they always taught me in school was turn in the direction of the skid. And for some reason, in my mind, that always meant like, go that, like I couldn't, and that didn't make sense to me. But what it is if you're going like this, turn the direction you want to go and put your eyes in the direction. So you want to get to here. So your car starts to slide in this direction, and you, the driver, need to turn in this direction and keep your eyes on the prize here. Don't start looking at the tree that you might hit because then you'll start to do weird stuff. Keep your eyes on where you want to be and aim for that. So you're turning your wheel, that way. And if you start to slide this way, same thing. You're going to go, I want to go this way, so start heading this way. Now, a lot of times, the time when you're going to skid, oh, no, come on. Dang it. Somebody just gave me a tip for how to clean my desk, so I got to look at that again. Okay. Is when you're trying to stop at a street light. Okay, so this is your stop. And let's say you want to turn this direction. Okay. So now you're trying to stop at this light. You're going real slow. You're trying to stop, but your car starts to do that. Don't start going, oh, I'll just head for this turn. Don't do that, because if you start heading for that turn, you're going to spin. You're going to end up, forcing it into this direction. So very first thing you got to do is head straight, and then you can slowly turn. And if you can't get your car straight before that, just keep going, turn around, come back. Because I've seen cars do that where they're like, oh, I start sliding, I'm going to head this direction, and then they end up flipping it. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know if it did or not. Okay. When this happens, you are going, let's see. So you're sliding this way, and now you're steering towards here. If you're going real slow, sometimes you may end up with not enough momentum. So maybe very lightly hit the gas to get yourself going in that direction. But whatever you do, don't slam on, the whole time you're driving in ice. Don't hit the gas too hard, and don't hit your brakes too hard. Just try to do everything gentle, easy does it. Because anytime you suddenly hit your brakes, you're going to slide. If you suddenly hit the gas, you might start to go off course. And when we were young, and I'm sure a lot of you who are my age will remember this, a lot of us had rear wheel drive cars. And I thought of the name, I think in a previous video, I couldn't think of the car. My brother and sister, they had Mavericks, they were called. Now, my first car was a front wheel drive because it was a Aries K car. But you would take your rear wheel drive car out, and you'd find the local parking lot that was covered in ice, and you and all your friends would go and do what was called donuts out in the parking lot. Now, I don't recommend this, but I do think there is value to taking your car out, especially if you have like a teenager who's never driven in the snow, and going to a safe, contained place where there aren't, trees or just an open lot, and practice braking fast, practice sliding and correcting, just practice driving. Because once you've done it a few times, you don't have to think about, oh, I'm driving. Your body will know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you've done it a few times, then you're like, I know how to do this. And that's why people who are from snow climates say, oh, I know how to drive in the snow. It's not that it's any, I don't know how to say, it's still a dangerous thing, but once you know how to do it, then you can correct it easier. But if you're driving along, you start doing this, and you start, going, oh, I gotta pull it, you could end up in all kinds of hurt. So, did I say about the anti-lock brakes? I started, and then I don't know if I did, but, oh, I know, because I was talking about doing donuts, which I don't know if you can do anymore with anti-lock brakes and front wheel drive. I guess if you went backwards, you could probably pull it. I'm not advising donuts. Forget I said any of that. Back up. Okay, and then forget I said that. But if you have anti-lock brakes, when we had our older cars that were pre-anti-lock brakes, they'd tell you to pump the brakes because you didn't want to just slam on the brakes because then your wheels lock up and you just slide. So you'd pump them. You'd go brake, 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 and that would help you keep from getting into a skid. But today's cars, and I think every car now has to have them, they have anti-lock brakes. So what will happen if you've never had it happen? It can be disconcerting. And this can happen in rain. It can happen if you're driving on wet leaves, ice, snow. I think it can actually happen in dry conditions if you hit your brakes hard enough. But you are braking your car. If these wheels start to slide, it will go boom, 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 and it'll feel weird because you get this like shaking in your car. That is proper anti-lock brake activity. What they're doing is coming on and off and trying to keep your wheels from slipping. So as long as you're doing what you want it to do, you just keep your foot on that brake and it'll just keep doing that. It'll shake like that. But that's what it's supposed to do. That's how they work. They just kind of come on and off and they do the pumping for you. The pumping that, we used to have to do. Yep. That's pretty neat. I can remember the first time I felt that. I was like, what's that? And my dad said, that's supposed to happen and don't pump your brakes. I was like, okay. Oh, I know what else. The reason I have all-wheel drive cars now, four-wheel, I have a driveway that is a hill. It's a pretty steep hill, actually. And I live in a hilly area. And so for where I live, it's almost necessary. But anyway, before I had the car I have now, I had a Town and Country minivan that had front wheel drive. And the hill of my driveway, I could not get out it in that car. I'd have to put sand or salt. Even after shoveling, it was still too slick. So you can put kitty litter or sand or salt where your tires need to go, and that'll give them just enough, gripping that they'll be able to move if you get kind of stuck. So you guys know I carry jumper cables in my car. In the winter, I also carry a bag of salt, just in case, hey, just in case. And the other thing that happened before I knew any better, I had a car, and it was a very cold day, and I had parked it at the top of my driveway hill so that I wouldn't get stuck. So it was at the top, but I got in and it wouldn't start. And I'm like, what on earth? Why won't it start? And it turns out it was because I let the gas tank get to, I think it was about 1/8 of a tank. And you just can't do that when it's cold weather. You want to keep your tank a half tank or more because, and I think I read this correctly, the gas tank has, I'm not going to draw this. This will look like, I don't know. But anyway, so I'm not going to, I don't know. But you have a gas tank and it has like intake valves, and I think they're towards the bottom. Does that sound right? And the water will kind of float to the top of your gas. But if it gets low enough, then the water is here. And it's not like a lot of water. I don't know what I'm drawing. But so then it's kind of like how you get evaporation on the inside of your car. It can get into your fuel lines and freeze. And that makes it so your car won't start. So make sure if you know a cold front's coming in, you have your tank a halfway full or more, or all the way full, even better. So that's actually something I am so careful about ever since that happened. I never knew that before. What else about cold weather driving? I'm trying to think. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts in the comments. Please put them and help our fellow drivers out. If anything I said seems crazy, you can say that too. But I don't think I said anything that would be outrageous. keep an ice scraper in your car so that if you're somewhere and it starts to snow, you have the ability to clean it off. That's a good idea. I can't think of anything else. So, I don't know. Hopefully you guys... Whoops. Yeah, so I think probably the biggest tip of all out of everything is slow down. I can't tell you how many times I see people trying to drive way too fast in conditions. And that's bad. That's where bad things happen. Anyway, all right, well, hopefully that will help you along your way. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. I will just try to clean this off my desk. Where's my Windex? My Windex disappeared.